I'm here at Alligator Alcatraz, and we are uplifting the courageous decision of Judge Williams from yesterday that orders the state and the federal government to bring no new detainees and to shut it down within 60 days.
Okay, this is the mayor of Miami-Dade County. Not the mayor of Miami, but the entire county. It's a very big role. Now, she was recently denied access into Alligator Alcatraz.
Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava coming here on the ground. She said she tried to get inside after speaking with us. She was told she wasn't allowed access. She had to apply for credentials, but she described this as being personal.
This is becoming a very common theme. A politician or a lawmaker will show up to a facility like Alligator Alcatraz, not have the proper paperwork, and then makes a video in front of the facility. So we're going to talk about this. Now, before we start the video, make sure you guys please like this video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well, and I think people want to see what's going on with Alligator Alcatraz.
Well, it is at a standstill for now. We're talking about Florida's Alligator Alcatraz expansion plan. A federal judge ordered construction to temporarily halt over environmental concerns, but state officials are promising they will fight back.
Before we get to the mayor, I just want to give you some context. Basically, a judge has ordered that Alligator Alcatraz is not allowed to expand to any more facilities. They can't bring in any more new illegal immigrants. Basically, shut down the facility. And this is how we got here.
I'm here at Alligator Alcatraz, and we are uplifting the courageous decision of Judge Williams from yesterday that orders the state and the federal government to bring no new detainees and to shut it down within 60 days. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to the judge for being so diligent, recognizing the threats to our beautiful natural environment. I'm so grateful to the Miccosukee Tribe, who've always fought for this area. And I'm grateful to all of the advocates and activists who called attention to these issues, not only to the environment, but to the humanity and the lack of fair treatment, lack of access to counsel, and the deplorable conditions for people inside this facility. So thank you everyone for your advocacy, and let us hope and pray that this decision continues to move forward.
And spoiler alert, there is an appeal against this decision. We'll get to that in a second. However, I hope you noticed that the mayor was really only focusing on the environmental impact and not so much the illegal immigrants inside of the facility, which is why the mayor is getting called out, the judge is getting called out, and this entire situation is getting called out. When you look into the facts of the case, it's supposed to be entirely about the environmental impacts. But then when you look into the details, you can't even add certain lighting, you cannot expand, but you can fix areas in which illegal immigrants they are staying in to make it better and safer for them, which is a bit of a contradiction. But the point is, I thought this is supposed to be about the environmental impacts. Why are you adding these provisions and details about illegal immigrants inside of the court documents? Real quick, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys up to date with Alligator Alcatraz, whether or not it's going to shut down. I want to make sure you guys are well informed and kept up to date. Make sure to please subscribe.
There's been a plot twist when it comes to the state's embattled detention center. Even after a federal judge issued an 82-page ruling to shut down the facility, there could be another chapter in the case. This week, federal judge Kathleen Williams ruling the state did not follow a critical environmental law before the migrant detention center was hastily built before gates opened in July. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier refuting her decision.
Before we get to the Attorney General, there is a crucial detail in all of this that the mayor and the judge and some others seem to be leaving out. Before Alligator Alcatraz became Alligator Alcatraz, it was a training facility for pilots, but on top of that, whenever there was hurricane relief or like linemen coming to the state to help out the area for a hurricane, the area was always used as a staging area to prepare for a disaster. And I don't recall, or I can't find any lawsuits where people got upset with them for environmental impacts.
These NEPA federal environmental regulation requirements do not apply to state lands and state facilities. And Alligator Alcatraz is on solely state lands. It is a state facility.
The executive director of Friends of the Everglades is Eve Samples.
It is impossible to imagine that a massive, expensive, harmful immigrant detention center in the middle of the Everglades is the best course of action. This sure looks like America's worst idea.
Samples' organization filed the lawsuit, and she knows even with this federal court ruling, the fight to close Alligator Alcatraz isn't over yet.
So Ron DeSantis, the Attorney General, they could care less about this order. They knew it was going to happen, which is why the appeal was immediately filed, and they seem to be very confident they're going to win. Now, I do want to point out, we have had plenty of lawmakers actually go into Alligator Alcatraz. Here is Maxwell Frost, a congressman from Florida. Here's what he had to say about his visit.
And when those doors opened, what I saw made my heart sink. I saw 32 people per cage, about 6 cages in the one tent. I saw a lot of people, young men who looked like me and people who were my age. People were yelling, "Help me, help me." I heard in the back someone say, "I'm a U.S. citizen." And as we were walking away, they started chanting, "Libertad, libertad, libertad, freedom." The food we saw is not enough food. They're being fed essentially a small sandwich and a bag of chips.
So you guys can leave your comments down below how you feel about his reaction. I'm just being very honest with you. There are really two sides here. One side in the comment section is like, yeah, that's terrible. This sounds horrible. But then on the flip side, people are like, have you ever been to a prison in the United States? Have you ever seen what those people have to go through? And I even saw a few comments that said that's more than what some homeless people get. So I'm just trying to give you guys the full story here, how people were reacting to this trip. But the real point I'm trying to make is, despite all of these lawmakers visiting Alligator Alcatraz, the judge is still focusing on the environmental impacts more so than what's actually going on inside, it seems like.
One of the illegals said that his ham sandwich was cold. And I'm thinking to myself, you're entitled to toasted hoagies? First of all, Jimmy John's is one of the most successful sandwich places in a country. They didn't have any toasted subs until very recently. They had only done cold subs, and it became a massive success, financial success. Now they do offer toasted subs. I don't think they do cheesesteaks. My kids like the cheesesteak from Jersey Mike's. But be that as it may, to say that the AC's on too much, it's too cold, or this or that. At some point it's like, good grief, like one of the illegals said.
And you can go fact check this story, it is 100% true. And again, I am not surprised why we are focusing on the environmental impacts more than the impacts on the detainees inside of Alligator Alcatraz. Nearly every single time I see a lawmaker or somebody trying to talk about inside of the facility and talking about the illegal immigrants, it's just not gaining any traction almost at all. And just to show you guys, this is a CNN segment where they really tried to talk about Alligator Alcatraz, and again, the entire comment section really backfired on CNN. And one thing I noticed, they haven't really done a lot of other pieces like this. I mean, check this out. I think you'll see what I mean.
This is sad, hopeless. It's a type of torture.
These are the stories of migrants held at Alligator Alcatraz, a new detention facility deep in the Florida Everglades. Using a plan of the site shown during President Trump's visit and photos from media tours and social media, CNN created a 3D model to take you inside the site, where hundreds of immigrant detainees are being held. Here are the giant tents where people report being crammed into cells made of chain link fence, packed with bunk beds.
Okay, let's start right here. I think this is a prime example of why I think a lot of Americans are just not feeling bad for these illegal immigrants. If you've ever served in the U.S. military, you have slept in these exact same conditions, minus the cage. You have slept, to include myself, in the mud, on a cot. Half of the time, you don't even get a bed. So there is a massive population in the United States who has had to live in these same exact exact conditions, and we were never allowed to complain. I mean, we can just start with that.
CNN spoke with 8 detainees to hear firsthand accounts of what conditions are like on the inside. Some asked not to be named for fear of retribution.
Because of the way that we have been treated, it has been a very terrible experience.
Gonzalo Almanza Valdez was detained by ICE when he showed up for a meeting with his probation officer.
It's 32 people per cell, or per cage, really, because this is a cage. It's a metal cage strapped in with zip ties.
3 open toilets are shared by dozens of men who say there's no running water or sewage system. Roger Moreno, who has lived in the U.S.,
We could stop right there. Again, another reason why I think a lot of Americans are not just getting behind this. And look, I'm not denying that they have the right to complain, but the point I'm trying to make is this is why we have oversight, but this is why Americans don't seem to really get behind it, is because if you've ever seen the prison system in America, this is like the same exact complaint, where the bathrooms are disgusting, we're in a holding cell, we're in a cage. So this is like nothing new for Americans. You can make this as crazy as you want it to sound, and even some of the worst prisons in America seem to be even worse. Again, I'm just trying to throw all this out there. Make sure you guys leave your comments down below how you feel about this.
For more than 30 years, told CNN the rain makes it worse.
The toilets, when it rains, they overflow, and the cells we're in fill up with sewage.
Every time it does rain and storm, the toilets clog up.
Detainees told CNN the lights are kept on 24 hours a day.
We can't sleep. I have to personally put a rag on top of my head to at least try to take a nap because the lights are so bright. There's 24 LED lights in the roof, and it's like shining bright.
Juan Palma Martí.
And look, again, this is why we should have oversight. Oversight is a good thing to look into these facilities. But when CNN plays a clip of someone saying, you know, there's too much light, I'm trying to take a nap, I don't think I'm that inaccurate in saying this is why I don't think Americans, you know, are seeing this as such a bad thing. Again, this is why I truly believe the judge was focusing on the environmental impacts of Alligator Alcatraz, not internally inside of the facility. Because, by the way, with other facilities, there is some traction that's been gained to look into it. Like we saw over in Newark, New Jersey, it's been proven that, look, inside of the facility, there's a problem. We've actually had some people escape the facility because one of the walls broke apart. That right there gained traction, but we're hardly seeing anything happen with Alligator Alcatraz.
Enos has lived in the U.S. for more than 20 years and was also picked up by ICE at a routine meeting with his probation officer.
I no longer know when it's daytime or when it's nighttime. I don't sleep. It's affecting me mentally and physically.
The tents aren't sealed. You can see cracks in this image. And at the height of the hot Florida summer, that means the insects are relentless.
Yesterday, the air conditioning went out. We had the whole morning without air conditioning. Lots of mosquitoes came in because they get in from all sides.
Multiple detainees say.
And by the way, again, as Americans, even if you don't support illegal immigration, you should support the idea of making sure the facilities are well and maintained. Because anybody who's harmed inside of Alligator Alcatraz, it's actually your taxpayers that has to pay for it. And it is the law within the United States to take care of anyone who's been detained or anyone who has been imprisoned.
From all sides.
Multiple detainees say they don't get enough food, though they're served 3 meals a day, and that water is limited.
Scan our bracelets, we go into the food hall. The food is very terrible here. Very, very, very small portions. People are having a hard time living here because like they're starving. Probably like a quarter cup of rice.
We've eaten as late as 10 at night. The food at night is cold too. There's never a hot meal.
Showers are located in.
So that right there is probably that got the most like hate in the comment sections, is that people were complaining about the food. Now, that is the rule in the United States. You do have to provide 3 meals a day, whether or not you're detained. If you're in the U.S. military, this has always been an American standard as far as providing a meal. So you guys can leave your comments down below how you feel about this. And I really want to leave a disclaimer. This is not me hating on anyone who wants to complain. If you are an illegal immigrant, you have the right to complain. You can do that. The whole point of this entire video is to show you where I really think Alligator Alcatraz misses the mark for people who dislike Alligator Alcatraz. Promoting stories like this, again, has really not gained almost any traction, and this is how we got to this point.
In a separate tent, and opportunities to shower there are scarce, according to the detainees we spoke with.
All the showers are connected to the same water source. There's barely any water pressure. So we have to literally put ourselves on the wall right next to the water drainage so we can at least get hit with water.
I'm sorry I keep stopping, but thinking about my experience in the Army, in the 101st Airborne as a combat engineer, almost everything they're saying is the same complaint I had at times. And there's probably a lot of other veterans who may be watching this, especially if you've been in a combat role in a very harsh environment. I mean, I'm thinking about the soldiers who were, in an outpost in Afghanistan who had no water. You know what I mean?
They follow you when you're walking to the shower with your hands on your head, as if you were a prisoner. The water is very hot, very hot. They don't give you enough time. Mosquitoes are biting you in the shower. There are more mosquitoes than water.
The only line to the outside world are phones set up in the cells.
Nobody here has been able to see a loved one. Nobody has been able to see a lawyer here. Nobody has... It sucks. It sucks. There's no physical contact with the outside world.
And I'm just gonna, call it out as I see it. There is somebody on the phone talking to CNN saying we don't have contact to the outside world. Now, if all of this is true, I understand why they would be upset. And Alligator Alcatraz, they are supposed to be providing a way or means for this due process or talking to a lawyer. But again, I'm just trying to point out the obvious. You got somebody here saying, we don't have access to the outside world, but he's talking to CNN.
Other than these phone calls, it's not really more about me. It's about not being able to see my son. He's 6. He's about to turn 7 in November. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see him for his birthday.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers recently toured the facility. According to one of them, they were not permitted to speak to the detainees. Then State Senator Blaise Ingoglia, a Republican, said the facility is in good order.
It's actually a very well-run facility. The idea that the detainees are in there and they're in squalid conditions is just not accurate.
But most distressing for detainees, they say, was that in multiple cases, they haven't appeared in any state or federal detention system since they were arrested. That means families have been unable to track them.
We're in the middle of the Everglades with constant reminder that we're locked up in a cage and anything can happen. A hurricane can hit us and we can all die and nobody would know.
Okay, so that is the news segment from CNN. Again, disclaimer, I am in no way, shape, or form hating on the humanity of any human. I don't think that's right. I do think we should treat people with decency and respect, but the point I am trying to make here is that, look, when it comes to Alligator Alcatraz, it's actually been proven time and time again that the facility is just not bad. You just heard the lawmaker say there's nothing going on here, and I truly do believe if the facility was all destroyed and ruined, this facility would have shut down a long time ago, or it would have at least been way more of a story, because the mayor at the very beginning of this video, she has had access inside of Alligator Alcatraz. Other lawmakers, a lot of them have gone inside of Alligator Alcatraz. But the complaint is the same. There are many people inside of a cell. It can be hot. It sometimes is cold. The food is not great. But these are not really complaints that resonate with the American people. But also, as far as the legal aspect of things, the mark doesn't seem to be that high as far as the government system of, you need 3 meals a day. It doesn't say the meals have to be like Red Lobster or something great. It just has to be 3 meals a day. Again, for anyone who's ever served in the U.S. military, to include myself, those 3 meals a day, holy cow, could they be very terrible, just being honest. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you leave your comments down below. God bless, and we'll see you all later.